Hey guys, welcome to Clockwork, Noodles for another breakdown of Bartender 2024, episode number 9. This week's episode, it hit just a little bit differently, and I will say this week's episode may have made it bump a little bit up in my ranking. I think if you watched my midway review, you'll see that Bartender's lacking. Up until this point, I like it. It's not been up there for me because obviously I've got the knowledge of the first one. This was probably the first episode where I was like, actually, this is really hitting. This is starting to really hit for me. It may have been the first time I was like, oh, is this a changing in the winds? Is the overview at the end of the season going to be different? Obviously, we're now 3 weeks away from the overview. Looking forward to doing that. I don't know. I'll see how I feel and what format I'm going to do that with. But I'm going to crown my top 3 animes of the season. I'm going to give out my fun anime awards. The anime awards are generally quite fun. A lot of people really like those, so I'm definitely keeping them. Always have fun handing those out because there's normally a few joke prizes as well going out. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss it. There will be an overview going out in a few weeks. I've got a lot bumping around going on, but I will make sure I find time to do the overview. The overview will be done with my virtual YouTuber just because it's a little bit easier, and of course it means somebody else gets to edit that one for me. I like that. That means I don't have to do that because there's a lot going on in my life right now. I wanted to tell you guys this week, but there's been a few delays, but there will be a big notification going out at some point. Just expect it at some point. Make sure you guys are subscribed for that. You don't miss out on the big announcement. I just don't know when that announcement's going to be. If you are feeling up to it, go check out the coffee account and buy me a coffee. I've been saying buy me a coffee, but I don't like coffee. Consider it buy me a hot chocolate because I do like hot chocolates. It's the only hot drink I will actually drink. There's probably a few cool cocktails that would have chocolate in them. I should go and ask Sasakura if he knows any. So let's just go straight to number 9 because there's so much going on in number 9. This week is the week where we start to dig into our boy Sasakura. He is a Ryu as well. I might just flip around and giving him both names. This is the week, and we end up in a bar with a bit of an odd atmosphere. Feels a bit different. You notice that the colour coding this time is blue. Lots of blues being brought up. Blue is a very pretty colour. It's my favourite colour, but often if it is used in a show, colour palette, it's a cold colour palette. Most of the time, if it's not calming, it is a very cold colour palette. And in the sense of this anime in particular, it's used to be a little bit on edge because you're like, oh, it feels weird. The bar doesn't feel the same. As she says, it's got a bit of a weird vibe and she actually wants to leave. But as soon as Sasakura notices who's there, he's in immediately because he recognises the guy as his senpai. I'm going to be calling senpai and mentor. The mentor is the one which taught both, but the senpai is the one that Sasakura learnt from. He really grew on me. I don't know why. Initially I was like, but he started to really grow on me, and by the end of the episode I was like, I actually like this guy. This guy is really, really nice. It's very clever the way that they slowly start to peel back the layers on him as well. We do get the Bloody Mary this week. It's the first drink of the show I will not even touch because I don't like tomato juice. And the Bloody Caesar, which has the clam juice in it, can go and F itself. That can go do one because I do not like seafood. Do not put seafood in my drink. These 2 drinks I am not hot on, but it's nice to see that that seems to be his trademark because you see him making it again at the end of the episode. The fact that he puts in an 88% alcohol into the drink, and that's absolutely crazy. I'm pretty sure if you drink something that is pure 88% alcohol, you probably would die. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to drink just pure, is it ethanol? Is it called ethanol? Is it 100%? Alcohol is just ethanol, I think. If you just drank it straight at 100%, you would not be having a good time. It definitely puts you on edge. But if you do also consider it from a business standpoint, it's a very bad business model. If you're going to get your people drunk on one drink and then they're going to go home, they're going to spend less money. Our boy starts to even mention the fact that you're not looking after them or you've changed. Apparently, the senpai is actually where he got the idea of making them relax and a drink for everyone and you're looking after them. But apparently from this, that you think, oh, the guy's strayed from his teachings. Maybe he once upon a time taught him this, but he doesn't believe it anymore. It starts to put you on an edge with the guy, which I think is very clever for the later reveal, because the reveal still isn't very big. And if you missed it, I don't blame you for missing it, because you've got to read between the lines with this character in particular to see that he's actually a very loving character who cares about people. I do think this show does try its best to show it, but it's more subtle than a show going, hey, this guy's just lovable, but he's angry. So I like the way that they do this character in particular. They're definitely doing him justice. It's also when you first heard the name Kaze, and Kaze is the mentor Sasakura's been looking for quite some time. You do notice as well that Sasakura does not touch his drink whatsoever. He leaves it behind. The face behind the genius, we do actually get to see both faces this week, the mentor and the senpai. It's an interesting one because initially it's like, here's a breadcrumb, here's a breadcrumb. This episode's very, very gradual. It doesn't give you everything all at one time, which I prefer because it staggers the storytelling. It builds a bit of the intensity as well. You got the girl digging into Sasakura's past. You definitely know there's something going on at the most. And obviously back at the Eden bar is where he continues to say that if you feel out of place at a bar, it's actually the bartender who's not doing a good job. Now, I will say I actually have been to a few bars this year, and I went to Faro. I did go to a bar. We went every single night, and the first night I didn't feel so out of place because there was a really nice guy and he gave us drinks, and then we basically chilled out there until we went to bed. Then the second night, it wasn't him, it was someone else, but I just felt a little bit out. And then for my birthday, we went to Gran Canaria and I felt completely out. Like, I went to the bar once and hated it, and then I didn't go back. I'm wondering, like, is this actually true? Because if the bartender's unfriendly, you're not going to want to go back. You're going to go find a different bar. You're going to find somewhere that's maybe a bit more welcoming. So I do like the fact that Sasakura almost apologizes for her feeling out of place. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And he then starts to narrate through the entire drink. And I think it's to put her at ease. Like, let's start talking. Let's not have this atmosphere going. If you feel out of place, let me just talk you through it. Because I was initially going to actually pull him up on it in my comments. Now I look at it again, I'm like, actually, he does that simply to make sure she feels comfortable, and he's trying to strike up a chat so you don't get that dead air between everybody, which would also enhance the feeling of not feeling so great. Now, when she says this is like amazing and delicious, she doesn't even take a sip. I'm sorry, how? Did you like smell the drink and go, oh, it smells amazing? She doesn't drink. She take it back. She literally just puts it to her mouth and goes, oh, it's amazing. I thought it was very clever, and I even noticed that Sasakura made a different drink for his senpai. He uses the same ingredients, but when he's talking to her initially and she's saying, oh, it tastes amazing, you can see him actually grinding down just the juice, the actual citrusy bit, not the whole thing. So you can pick up the very clever subtleties of the show if you're looking. And of course, he adds a bit more ice. You can see there's a lot more ice on top of the drink as opposed to hers where there's less. One is more bitter. The one that includes the peel is way more bitter because that's how she likes her drinks. And the second one is lighter and not as bitter because obviously he knows his senpai. He knows his taste. So he's like, oh, I know you. I'm going to change it a bit. And I love the fact that he also compliments him saying, oh, your skills have definitely improved, which is really, really nice. Talking about now the mentor. The mentor is alive, but sadly he is in hospital and has been there for 7 years, which is where you then get your little hints that the guy actually is a warm-hearted gentleman at heart anyway. I was worried that he wouldn't recognize our boy Ryu or Sasakura because I was worried that I was like, oh, he's got dementia. Maybe he's been in a coma and he can't actually talk or anything. I was really worried that would be the case. Thankfully, he can actually talk and he does actually recognize him. And that's where we learned that he spent his whole life dedicated to being a bartender. Our beautiful senpai, he's been trying to say these kind of harsh things out of concern. He's not telling this guy, hey, you should just, get a different job. You're young, go get a real job kind of thing. He's not saying it out of spite. He's not saying it out of like meanness or anything. He's saying it because he actually is worried about him. You can see the fact that he's been looking after this guy, his mentor, 7 years because the guy's got no family. That's not a sign of somebody who's scary or cold. That's a sign of somebody who cares and is dedicated. And I absolutely love the fact that Sasakura also says you wouldn't have named the bar Northwind if you really felt that way about bartending, if you really felt that way about the job in particular. And it really is showing you that he's got a really warm heart, and the fact that he's been looking after his mentor for 7 years. 7 years he's been making sure that he can do that as well. Really, it started to pull on my heartstrings a little bit because it's an episode where it's subtle reveal. It does come across quite mean initially where he says you should just quit your job and go and find something else. Don't die dedicated to these customers who won't care. But then he also says if they can have one drink, if they can remember that one drink that made him feel relaxed, then we're happy with that. So he and the mentor are happy with his choice. He doesn't want Sasakura following him because he's worried that he's going to maybe waste his life or something. And obviously, he also knows the secret. I didn't realise that the hotel was still looking for a bartender because I presumed that her being hired was it. But it seems that they've got 2 bars. I guess some hotels, really fancy ones, do have more than one bar. I'm trying to think if I've been to a place with more than one bar. Maybe, potentially. The big bar, the one behind the closed doors, is the one they're still trying to get our boy in. And obviously the granddad goes and visits him again. And he's like, I'm not giving up. I always get what I want. And I think he even tries to convince him by saying, I can sort Edenhall out. So if you're worried about Edenhall, I can sort that out for you as well, because he's really dedicated to getting Sasakura upstairs. But obviously, I don't think he knows the secret. And now let's go into the secret. Obviously, she's digging around still. She goes to go and talk to the senpai, because who better to give you any answers than the man who's worked with him, the guy who actually knows Sasakura. It does feel a little cheating. It feels a little dirty doing it behind his back, but it allows us, the audience, to, I guess, get some information going. And Sasakura right now doesn't know that we know his secret. He doesn't want anything to do with hotels ever again, because of a very traumatic experience. And at the moment, all we're given is that he thinks he killed somebody. He blames himself for the death of a customer. We don't know the ins and outs just yet. That's done on purpose. It's a nice little cliffhanger for you to go, he might have murdered somebody, but he didn't. You know, it's not going to be the case. You know, it's not going to be the case. But it's going to be a case where something has happened. He blames himself deeply and he hasn't gotten over it, and it's going to be like trauma that's there at the back of his mind. I'm going to be quiet, running this tiny little bar on my own and trying to repent from what I have done. So it's a very heavy hitting episode that ends in a very sad manner. I'm going to be interested to see where we go. We've got 3 episodes, so obviously we're going to be delving into backstory now. Hopefully we're going to come to a resolve and maybe he can move on at the end of it. It's a very nice episode. It's actually one of my more favorite episodes, more memorable episodes for the remake, I think, so far. It impacted me a little bit more. So very much like this episode. I hope you guys also enjoyed this episode too, because it's really, really good. But I will definitely see you guys again next week for the 10th as we start to get towards the end of the season. It's gone really, really quickly and I'm surprised that we're running out of time on this one. I will need to get my butt moving and start confirming some dates for the end of season and of course the overview. They'll go up soon. I might even put them in the community post page anyway. Thank you so much for continuing to support me, guys. It's been a pleasure. I will see you guys again soon. Look after yourselves. Bye bye.